All right, we are live. We are live. We're going to wait a couple minutes, let everybody come on in. It's a busy Saturday already started. I have a ton of information to share. We're going to waste absolutely no time at all. I have so much college football all morning. We've been firing away. 90% has been on Extra Board. If you're a subscriber, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We got down on most of our sides, most of our totals for the main board throughout the week, some even in July. And today it's been nothing but extra board games. That's where the ton of the value is. And some of those derivatives that we've been touching, those first quarters, first halves. And also got some player props for you. Actually, Arch Manning under 28.5 rushing yards. Arch Manning under 28.5 rushing yards. That was a steam move that got hit. Another player prop. I know you guys are player prop fans. I want to share those so I don't forget them. I'll give it a minute. Let everybody come in. Then I'll start sharing a lot of that extra board stuff. And again, currently sitting number one in profit, college football 2025. I told you coming into this season, we're going to do some damage. I haven't been this set up for a successful football season, both college and pro, in a long time. So really excited with the different groups that I'm working with right now. We're getting a lot of really sharp stuff. It's my job to filter it and make sure we turn a profit with it. Because again, we got some gold to get to. As far as Texas and Ohio State goes, my opinion, I'm on Texas +3, but did not release that to subscribers. That wasn't a premium play. That was bet in July. I wasn't going to give them at 2, 1.5, 2. 3 is just too key of a number, especially when you see that total being steamed under, where the market at least expects a lower scoring tight game. There's just too many good spots to get your money down in. There's absolutely no reason to chase bad numbers, especially, it's week 1. With that said, if you're with me for the season, get ready for a good college football and NFL. Here's what I recommend. Most of you guys are handicappers. Most of you guys have your own opinion. You're sharp. You're not a subscriber by accident. I don't even urge you to piggyback everything blindly. My goal is to be a source for you, like the groups that I move for and the accounts that I provide, what I'm able to do. I get that information, I filter it, and piggyback those positions that I also have an opinion on. So if you come into the SteamRoom or you come in every morning before you start getting those games released to you as a subscriber, you should already have your lean circled, your side circled, your total circled. Definitely on those matchups that you have an opinion on. And then when our stuff starts coming in, we either confirm a play, sometimes come in the opposite, then you have a decision to make, or, if we don't touch it, we don't touch it. But I think that's the best way to do it. And if you're just going to piggyback blindly, stay selective. Piggyback those that you're still able to get the same number that I got, and focus on the bigger bet sizes, the 4% plays, the 5%. 5 are rare. I don't fire many of those. But the 4% plays, which come to about 1% of Bankroll, you guys know how we do it. I'll repeat it quickly at the top. I work with an 80-20 risk of ruin. I partner with my subscribers long-term. I'm a big fan of long-term partnerships rather than pushing, big plays and pushing day and week, because there's so much randomness in the outcome of any day, any week, even any month. But knowing if we partner for a longer period of time, I know there'll be multiple steam rooms you get to come to, and higher probability that you're going to follow the blueprint, which is 80-20 risk of ruin. as a sports bettor or a gambler of any type, your enemy is ruin. When you're ruined, you have no bankroll. You're out of action. Your business is closed. You're bankrupt. So as a sports bettor, your business is your bankroll. You need to protect it at all costs, which means you need to keep your risk of ruin low. How do you do that? By betting a percentage of bankroll, which is small enough to overcome the negative stretches. Because even during the most profitable years, they will come. As my subscribers can tell you, I've turned a profit 8 of the last 10 years, documented. In those 8 winning years, some of them very profitable, where we 3x bankroll even, starting bankroll. We had some horrific runs that we had to overcome. If you got wiped out during that stretch, you didn't profit. So the goal is to keep the risk of ruin low. Again, I work with an 80-20, which means I'm comfortable doubling my bank 8 out of 10 times. And notice the law of large numbers. I work with an 80-20 risk of ruin. And what happened? I double my bank 8 out of 10 times. I turn a profit 8 out of 10 times. I lose 2 out of 10 times. And what happens? I had 2 losing years in the last decade. So that's going to happen. But if you're doubling up on those winning years, you just slide that bankroll in. With that said, to have an 80-20 risk of ruin, you need 400 units. That's correct. So if you're betting $25 a unit, you need 10 dimes, because we're betting between 1x and 5x. Again, the ratings at Wager Talk, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, they reflect strength of bet. They are not a recommendation of bet size. If you're betting 5% of your bankroll per play, let me end the suspense. You're going to go broke. You will lose your bankroll. No one can help that from happening. Your win percentage is not going to overcome that 5% of bankroll being bet. So if you're doing that, you need to stop that immediately. So with a 400 unit bankroll, I'm working with a 20% risk of ruin. I'm still going to lose my bankroll 2 out of 10 times. That's with having an edge, meaning I know with my bets I'm placing, I have an edge. I'm positive EV. I will still lose my bank 2 out of 10 times, placing winning bets. Let me repeat that. You will be placing winning bets and you will still lose your bankroll 2 out of 10 times with 400 units. If you only have like 200 units, let's say you got 2 dimes, or let's say you got $1,000, and you're betting, $100 a unit, $50 a unit, let's say. Your risk of ruin is so high that the probability of you losing your bankroll is almost 100%. So again, let's say you have you have a higher risk tolerance than me, and 20% risk of ruin is too low. You're good with 40% risk of ruin. 40% risk of ruin. You're still going to need what? 200, 300 units for that. Again, and let's be honest, how many with $1,000 bankroll are only betting $30 a play? Not many. That's why 99.5% of sports bettors have negative lifetime earnings. Again, it all comes down to risk management. 2 pieces of the puzzle. I say it all the time. Bankroll, percentage of bankroll. This will adjust. This could never change. You got to stick to this. And again, we bet 0.25 of that rating at Wager Talk. So a 1% play is 0.25 of bankroll. 2% play, 0.50. 3%, 0.75. 4%, 1% of bankroll. And then my biggest bet of 5% is 1.25 of bankroll. So on a dog, I'm flat betting 1.25. On a favorite, I'm betting the win 1.25. So even with a $10,000 bankroll, we're never betting more than $125 on a dog or to win 125 on a favorite. And those are very rare. Our average bets are 3 and 4%. So 0.75 to 1%. So let's say our average bet is a little less than 1% of bankroll. So with a $10,000 bankroll, our average bet is about less than $100. And that is a 20% risk of ruin. If you want, you could bring it down to a 10% risk of ruin where you double your bank 9 out of 10 times. Again, if you have winning information, you determine what you want your risk of ruin. And you could have a 10% risk of ruin. You need 500 units. So if you're betting, $10 a unit, you need 5,000. Now, tell me, how many bettors out there with 5 dimes are betting $10 a unit so that they only have a 10% risk of ruin? You could have a 1% risk of ruin. You could narrow it down to 1%. Well, you're double your bank 9 out of 10 times. 99 out of 100. Forgive me. 99 out of 100. 9.9 out of 10 times. To do that, you need 1,000 units. So again, how many bettors with a $100,000 bankroll are going to be betting how much? Yeah, not many are doing that, right? Most are over betting that edge. And when that happens, the risk of ruin is just way too high. Again, that's the most important stuff. I'm going to share all the information, all the gold that I have. But unless you use it correctly, it's meaningless. It's just like with Blackjack. Those of you that signed up for the year, you took the course. And if you haven't, I highly recommend it. If you sign up for the year, you get the Blackjack for free. So much of it crosses over to sports. And with the Blackjack, the best part is that's a skill set you have. And you could go out and as long as you master it and become efficient, there's nothing they could do. You will print money because you have the mathematical edge. And as long as you bet size correctly, you will print money. But just like with sports, that's not enough. You have to bet size correctly. Even you see the videos of me getting kicked out of the casinos. They won't let me play blackjack. But if I go in there underfunded, I'm not the favorite. If I go in there, if I play a session, I need 100 units to play a session. So if I'm going to play a $25 table, I need 2,500. If I only go in there with a dime, I'm no longer the favorite. That's how it works, just like with sports. So please, if you, the biggest takeaway, I know everybody's interested in Ohio State, Texas. I know we all want to cash some tickets today. But moving forward, that is the most important takeaway. Bet sizing correctly based on your bankroll. Again, you need 500 units to have a 10% risk of ruin if you're a winning bettor. That means you will double your bank 9 out of 10 times, but you need 500 units. So if you're betting $20 a game, right? You need 10 dimes. You need 10 dimes. And again, not many out there with 10 dimes betting $20 a game. But that's why the sports books continue to crush it. You see the profits they make. All right. Let me give you a couple player props if it hasn't gone off. Let me see. FAU Maryland. Did that game go off? All right. That's an early game that went off. Mississippi State, Southern Miss, that game went off too. I know that was early. Okay, the props are off. I'm going to give you the extra board games. Extra board. You ready? Now, as subscribers know, I did not use these all as premiums. Again, those of you that have partnered up with me with accounts already know what a normal day looks like. It's a lot of volume. These betting syndicates profit via volume. Their goal is like a blackjack player. They want to see as many hands as possible. The more hands they see, the greater likely probability the math plays out that they will be profitable. They will get into what is called statistical significance. They are now mathematical certainty to turn a profit once they see enough hands. Once they see, 1,000, 2,000 hands, they should be up money. The randomness should be no longer in the conversation. It's now, if you're an efficient card counter, you should be profitable. Sports betting the same. After 1,000 bets, if you're profitable, you're now a favorite over your next 1,000 bets. You need that kind of sample size to know that you're profitable. So now you are now the favorite. Well, these betting syndicates want to place those 1,000 bets as quickly as possible. And if you look in those accounts, like you guys know that have partnered with me, you're getting 15, 20, 25 bets in there. And that's the way they do it. And again, if you want to DM, reach out, and we'll make some money. And if you know any whale that has bet into, DraftKings, FanDuel type of accounts that has losing history, hit me up. We can make a lot of money together. Just going to throw that invitation out there. All right. 1 second. Thank you, David. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Annabelle, my man. Thank you. Thank you, Annabelle from Venezuela. My man has joined the party. Here's what I can tell you as far as baseball. Before yesterday's games went off, before first pitch, 3 series got steamed. Boston, -160. The Athletics, +110. And Tampa Bay, -150 for the win the series, the 3-game series. Out of those 3, I only used one that I liked for my subscribers. That was Tampa Bay -150 over Washington. I gave that as a 4% play, so 1% of bankroll. I did not use Boston or the Athletics. Athletics and Boston both lost game 1, so they both have to win today to have a shot for the group to cash that ticket on Boston Athletics for the series. Tampa did win yesterday, so now we need, me and my subscribers, Tampa to win one of the next 2 games for us to cash that ticket. Now, real quickly, I did have 3 baseball moves from overnight that I'll share with you. It was, where was it? Give me a sec, my man. You came all the way from Colombia. I'm answering my man's question. St. Louis +130. Where were you? Under 11.5, Cubs and Colorado. Under 11.5, Cubs, Colorado. Good to -125. Under 9, Yankees, White Sox. Under 9, Yankees, White Sox. Good to -130. Athletics +120. Athletics +120. And what else was it? Where was it? I know I had something else for you. Yeah, under 9, Tampa, Washington. Under 9, Tampa, Washington. And under 8.5, San Diego, Minnesota. Under 8.5, San Diego, Minnesota. That's what I got for baseball so far today. Annabelle, I have not released any to subscribers. All the focus has been on college football. Again, working with multiple groups. We're doing really good in college football, already #1 in profit. That's coming off a losing day yesterday, a rare losing night in college football. Tell you when I win, tell you when I lose. Over the season, we're going to do damage. And you know the pressure I have on me to make sure 2025 is a profitable year. So there is no messing around. We have the baseball. If I'm not seeing they're crushing, I will not be using that market for us to profit. I'm going to be focused on those markets that I see we're crushing. And like I said, I'm very confident about what's coming in football in the NFL. Thank you, Mike. My man Zip, welcome, brother. Welcome. Ruthless, my man, welcome to the party, brother. God bless. God bless you and yours, Annabelle. My man from Poland. From Poland. Shout out to Poland. When I lived in Greece, met so many people from Poland that were vacationing in Greece in the summer. My kind of people. I said, if I could, I want to visit Poland. And that looks like the kind of place that I would like to live. Right now, at this point in my life, I wouldn't mind leaving Las Vegas. And if I left the States, even though I love Greece, Poland would definitely be top 3 destinations as far as where to live. I like what I see coming out of there. I'm a fan. Let me see what my man's saying. Thank you, brother. Shout outs. I'm going to tell you, here's what I've been considering. You know, I'm high on San Diego Chargers in the AFC. We have a little future bet on them. In the NFC, I was trying to narrow down between, I was tight race between San Francisco and the Detroit Lions in the NFC to win the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers were that team that reminded me of last year's Eagles. Remember last year's Eagles? The year prior, the Eagles were an amazing team, loaded on paper and winning football games up until about week 10 or 11. And then remember, down the end of the year in 2023, they just fell apart. They lost pretty much every game, if I remember correctly. And everyone forgot about the Eagles. But the following year, it was that same team came back and got the job done, won the Super Bowl. Well, last year, San Francisco on paper was as loaded as they come. Even when they were 2-2, there were still sharps having them as #1 power rated team, looking at them for futures because they were a little bit undervalued based on their record. But what happened was they got those injuries. You can't overcome injuries like that in the NFL, especially so many marquee injuries. And everyone forgot about just how good San Francisco is. But something just keeps sticking out about Detroit, how loaded Detroit is. And even though they lost their offensive and defensive coordinator, I don't think that this team is going to take a big step back, meaning the pieces are there. It's been a team in the making now for a couple of years. They haven't won the big game, but in the regular season, over the last 2 seasons or so, Detroit has been right there, with the elite in the NFC. And I thought at 10-1 or better, the odds were just too good to pass up on a future on Detroit, which seems like everyone's forgetting about them this year. Everyone's excited about, everyone but Detroit, because I think Detroit's let them down so much in the past. Nats and Rays. Let me look real quick. Yeah, I like the under. Yeah, I like Tampa and under. I do. All right. All right, Zip. I'm glad you got it, brother. I'm glad you got that. And listen, guys, listen to me. Don't let the volume scare you, please. I know, like I said, coming into the season, lower volume. Okay? I promise you. It looks like heavy volume, but it's not. Okay? It's this early in the season in week 1. We don't have the data to narrow down more. So when I'm seeing multiple groups on the same side, I'm trusting the long-term results and history. And then we're getting a lot of closing line value, but that's going to lessen and lessen and lessen as the season progresses. So don't let the volume scare you. The volume is actually a positive. Again, it's like Blackjack course. What did I tell you in the Blackjack course? You want hands. If you have an edge, you want to see hands. If you have an edge, you want to place bets. But if you can't get the number, then pass it on to the next one. That's the beauty of getting all the volume. That you don't have to take bad numbers and you'll still place a good amount of bets. Every bet I'm giving you is plus EV. 3% to 3%, a 4% to 4%, regardless of which 3% or 4% it is. You focus on getting good numbers and finding books. And all right, good. You guys are happy with it. Thank you. Good, Justin. Good. Because I don't want to hold it back from you guys. It's good stuff. So let me go over all of the extra game board stuff now. Get your pen and paper because this is a lot of stuff. But I want you to write it down so you could see this is what we bet it at. Look at what the line is now. And then look at the result. This is what we do. Our goal is to place good bets. How do you know you're placing a good bet? Well, the best way that you could prove it is getting closing line value, because that shows you're out ahead of the market. And if you're ahead of the market, you're making money, right? Whether it's crypto, whether it's stocks, whether it's gold, or whether it's sports. If you're ahead, if you're late, you're not making money. You're not profitable. Those buying late are never profitable. The same thing with sports. So that's why CLV is so important. Because think of a normal NFL game. Next week, the NFL starts, okay? On Monday, is the sportsbook as confident in their line as they are 10 minutes before kickoff? Of course not. 6 or 7 days in advance. They still haven't confirmed exactly what the weather is. They still haven't confirmed exactly who's playing. We don't know the injuries. There's so many things we don't know. But 10 minutes before the game, we know who is playing and who's not playing. We know exactly what the weather is. We know what the sharp bettors are on, what square bettors are on. We know what the press conference was said. We know everything is factored into that betting line, at least as much as we can know. So if you're beating that, obviously you're going to be profitable. And I think that's where the misconception is. It's like when people see my videos of getting kicked out of Blackjack, they always ask, how much did you win? What did you beat them for? They don't realize that has nothing to do with why I'm getting kicked out. In fact, Johnny put out a video of me getting kicked out playing Blackjack with Kelly in Vegas. And when I got kicked out, it was at Mandalay Bay. And in Mandalay Bay, my lifetime earnings playing Blackjack are minus $44,000. So I'm down playing at Mandalay Bay. The reason they kicked me out is because they watched tape and realized when this guy placed his biggest bets, he always had the edge. When we had the edge, he was placing his smallest bets, or he acted like he had to be on the phone. So if he sees enough hands, he's going to beat us. That's what they determine. With sports, it's the same. If you're beating your book to the closing line, you're getting tossed. It has nothing to do with whether you're beating them for money or how much you've beaten them for. I've gotten tossed from a credit account with the first 3 bets I placed, 3 baseball bets. A guy gives me an account. I put 3 plays in there. He calls me back 30 minutes later. He says, yo, the book doesn't want to take it. He said, he don't want this work. He don't want this work. And I said, what are you talking about? I just placed the first 3 bets. He's like, I know. He just don't want it, man. You crushed the line. And I ended up going 1-2. Like I lost money. Regardless, I could have went 3-0 and 0-3. The outcome is doesn't matter. Forgive me. English truly is my second language. But what mattered to him was, dude, this guy's going to crush me. If he's beating the line, he's going to crush me. So here's that extra board games. You guys ready? And out of all of these, I gave out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 10 of these did go out to my subscribers. Okay. Now, Arizona State minus 28. These are all extra board. Arizona State minus 28. North Texas minus 24.5. Furman plus 2.5. West Virginia minus 38. Middle Tennessee State minus 13.5. Oklahoma minus 38. Iowa State minus 14.5. Memphis minus 28.5. Northern Alabama plus 28. Northern Iowa minus 14. Connecticut minus 27.5. Georgetown, Pick'em. These are over-unders. Those were all the signs. Here's the over-unders. Over 57, Duquesne, Pittsburgh. Over 46.5, South Dakota, Iowa State. Under 51.5, Holy Cross, Northern Illinois. Under 55.5, Bucknell, Air Force. Under 55.5, Chattanooga, Memphis. Under 52.5, Maine, Liberty. Here's some main board derivatives. You ready? Syracuse, Tennessee, first quarter, under 10.5. We steamed over in the game, so keep that in mind. Went over in the game. I think it was 51.5. But they went under 10.5, Syracuse, Tennessee, first quarter. New Mexico team total, over 7, even money. Over 7, even money, New Mexico team total. And then Northwestern, first quarter, plus a half. Northwestern, plus a half, first quarter. So you got a ton of extra game gold. All gold for you. All that stuff got bet by the most respected college football betting groups on the planet. That much I can promise you. All right. Let me just make sure nothing new's come in. I'm pissed. I don't know at what time it goes. I couldn't get Oklahoma down. I wanted to give Oklahoma to my subscribers. Even at 38, I just couldn't get it. By the time I was able to get it in that Wager Talk system, it was 38.5. And I was like trying to consider it. And then I looked again and it was 39.5 and then 40.5. And I was like, I just missed it. Just let it go. But Oklahoma's the one that got away from me today. Here's a new one. Over 62.5. Alabama A&M and Arkansas. Arkansas, Alabama A&M, over 62.5. Yeah, you guys are getting gold, bro. I told you, subscribers, be ready. We're going to have a great college football season. We're going to have an amazing NFL season. And next week, the Steam Room will be on Sundays for subscribers. It's not going to be open. Won't be a free one next week. Forgive me. We do one every like 2 months, sometimes even, more. But we try to get a free one out at least, one every 6 weeks or so. I did a little more free ones in the summer because there wasn't much, just baseball, and my subscribers didn't mind. But next week, the Steam Room is going to go like this: 8 a.m. Pacific to 10 a.m. Pacific. So that means 11 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to go right up the kickoff of the early games, 2 hours leading in the kickoff. We're going to go through each NFL game. I'm going to share any bets we've placed on the side or total. If not, I'll give you my opinion and let you know what I see behind the counter, and the sheets that I get to look at, what the books are getting, all the player props for that game that we were able to move on for subscribers, and the ones that I just, didn't release. You'll be getting those. And then remember, 10 minutes before kickoff, 15 minutes before kickoff, we're going to put together those teasers that crushed for us last year. Remember, the Wong teaser has shown to be profitable long term, but we did a little addition to it, the Greek style Wong teaser, and it did really well for us last year. So we'll be firing those, but I can't use those for subscribers because sometimes we're firing 10, 11, 12, fall under tease. We're going to tease away when it's there because those have been really good. So head on over to wagertalk.com. And remember, every day I try to put out a premium play on the free picks. I never put out a free pick that's not premium. Anytime you see my free picks page, you'll see their premium. And I think I was like 18-2, 18-3 over the last 21 coming into this week. So don't overlook the free premium stuff. For those of you that aren't subscribers, because some people's bankroll, they shouldn't be subscribers. They're not betting enough. They're not going to turn a big enough profit that they should be paying for information. Again, I pay for information. Believe me, my bankroll could afford it. And, the bigger my bankroll got, the more information I was willing to pay for, the more services, line service, there's different stuff out there. But in the beginning, like anyone else, if you can't, you got a $500 bankroll, you shouldn't be paying me for information. You should be learning at places like this, the SteamRoom, checking out Wager Talk Today every morning, watching myself and other cappers on their segments. You should be learning. But for those of you that are betting more serious money and are using it as an investment vehicle, you'd be a fool not to want to know what the sharpest groups are on. If you're betting this football season, college and NFL, even if you're not piggybacking it and using it, I would want to know. Like, yeah, I swear I'm not promoting this as like this ain't infomercial, but I would be my own subscriber if I wasn't doing this. Like that, I couldn't put it any better than that. I'm the demographic, so I try to do exactly what I'd be doing, what I'd want. Yeah, see, that's why I didn't give out Furman either. And best bet, brother Mike, I gave out a best bet. I gave out the best bet. We already won our best bet today. Remember, I gave it out on Wager Talk on Bet on It as my best bet. I gave it out on my Instagram video, best bet. If you go to Greek_Gambler or Greek_Gambler7 on TikTok, I gave you guys Cal at +2.5. Cal +2.5. And then on my Instagram video free pick, I even said Cal +1.5. I even gave it out later in the week and said the wrong team's favored. And now look, Cal's now a favorite. That is what a best bet should look like. That's why I made it a 4%. In fact, it was this close to being my 5% play for this week. And I wish it was now, because the way the line moved, I would feel like I did my job, because that's the goal. I can't control the outcome. I can't control if the ref makes a bad call. I can't control if the quarterback wakes up and gets in a fight with his girlfriend. I can't control if the coach makes a bad call on 4th and 1. Dude, none of that is in my power. I have zero power. The only control I have is can I place a good bet? And Cal +2.5, Cal +1.5, great bets. How do I know? Because I can't get that right now. If I go to the sports book and I want to bet Cal, I have to lay 1.5. That's what a bet is. That's what a best bet should look like. Now, if Cal was getting +3 and I gave it out at +2.5 on bet on it, or worse, last night I gave it out at 1.5 and today they were +3, that would be a terrible best bet. Even if Cal went out there and won by 30 points, as my subscriber, you should be a little concerned. Like now, if that happens on 1 or 2 games out of 15, that's normal. But if I'm only giving 2 picks and one of them, the line moves against me that significantly on such a key number, I'd be a little bit worried. So if you're doing this for profit, you have to start thinking like that. You got to start thinking like a winning sports bettor. I'm going to keep bringing up that analogy until I get tired of it. Why ain't Ace on the cover of Muscle and Fitness? Because I don't deserve to be. I don't work out like the guy. I don't eat like the guy. I don't sleep like the guy. None of my lifestyle reflects the guy on the cover of Muscle Fitness. So why do I deserve it? Because I want to? Because I read about muscle and fitness? Because I know what I should be doing? Of course not. Sports betting's the same. 0.5% of bettors are profitable doing it, which means every action I make must reflect that. That means I don't bet bad numbers. I don't chase. I don't overbet my edge. Those demons that we face every day, we have to brush those off. Okay? Because that is the difference between being profitable and being in the 99.5 that does it for entertainment. And if you're doing it for entertainment, God bless you. Have fun. Do it for entertainment. In fact, go even parlay, throw same game parlay in. You may make a score, but you're gambling. You already know that. And you expect to lose when you're gambling. But if you expect to win, if you're actually doing this for profit and you're putting your hard-earned money, you owe it to yourself to do it the right way. Bet size correctly. Don't take bad numbers. Don't chase. Don't bet for action. Who gives a shit if it's Texas versus Ohio State? If I want Texas +3 and it's no longer there, fuck it. Next week, there'll be another bet. You got to get to that discipline if you want to do this. I'm telling you now, that's the only thing that matters. I wish I was on the cover of Pornhub. Yeah. I was considering the OnlyFans route. I was going to do it. My girl said, don't do it. Don't do it. Someone, you got to lie. Come on. Tell me this ain't the best t-shirt you've ever seen. Come on. I know you love. I know you love. Let's go. There's fans. Hold on one sec, guys. Sorry, I had to get some of that. I got to write this. There's so much stuff going through that if I don't write down as the plays are coming in, I'm going to lose track, and I can't have that. JR Black says, thank you for all the great work. Thank you, brother. Thanks for joining us. He says, my criteria for capping, I'm going to tell. Listen, man, you can't release the secrets, but I'm going to give you a couple. Okay. What you want is metrics that are predictive. Like most stats are a bit, we all look at the same stats. Everyone's looking at the same stats. We're all looking at the same data. Okay. The key is we all interpret it differently. Okay. That's the difference. We interpret it differently, but it's all available. The same data is available to each of us. But again, it's how we interpret it. The problem I see with a lot of analysis is it's always in support of the side you're given. So when you see a guy give out a free pick, what does he do? He's already has the pick he's going to give out. And then he goes back and he looks for information to support his pick. He doesn't do it the other way around. And I see that with most cappers because I've worked with most cappers. And a lot of times what happens is they're great at winning guys. They're great at finding winners, picking winners. They find the winner and then they go back because they have to talk like this or for a video or for a show. And what you're doing is you're going and you're extracting trends and data that support your case and you're ignoring everything that doesn't. To me, that's just a waste of time, which is why with my subscription, I don't sit there and write a long ass analysis because I'd be wasting your time and mine. I'm going to have 15, 20 plays if we're lucky with main board, extra board, first quarter, first halves. If we're lucky, we'll have 25, hopefully, out of the 50 they're betting. So there's no time to do that. But by doing Wager Talk today, by doing Bet on It, by doing the SteamRoom, by doing different free pick segments, I'm able to share my process so that my subscribers understand, okay, this is how he cuts to most of his conclusions. Now, with that said, you asked about the things that I look at in NFL. I'm going to give you two metrics that are two of the highest correlations to actually predicting outcomes. These are predictive metrics, which actually matter. Number one, passing success rate. It has a 0.331 correlation, okay? The highest you're going to find as far as the stat goes that I'm aware of, okay? Number two, expected points added. So each player, the expected points they're adding. And that's key, especially when you have a replacement. Stick to those two, focus on those two, and I think you'll uncover some really good stuff in this year's NFL. Turnover ratio, like you talked about, key, of course. The team that wins the turnover battle wins what? 6 out of 10 games, 6.5 out of 10 games. We know that. Teams that are +2 or greater in turnover ratio, they will win 7, 8 out of 10 games, +3, you're up 9+. The problem is predicting turnovers is very hard. I know a couple guys that have tried. I know Ed Fang is excellent at trying to predict interceptions. I know he's even come up with a metric for that, I believe. He's awesome. Good dude, smart guy, shares a lot of his stuff where like open source tells you what he's doing, which I really love and respect. But what's almost impossible to predict are fumbles because once they hit the ground, it's 50-50 who's going to fall on it. Even if you're so good at and you come up with this metric that predicts who's greater probability of forcing a fumble, the problem becomes once the ball hits the ground. It's a coin flip who lands on it. So maybe you could track which team's getting lucky or unlucky. Again, if you've had 10 fumbles and you were able to get all 9 of them, recover 9 out of 10, then you're probably getting very lucky. You should have only recovered 5. Like maybe you could factor that in, but it's hard to predict turnovers. That's why it's great to talk about. But the way I use turnover ratio is who's lucky, who's unlucky, and is that going to change? The problem is the NFL season is not long enough. So you don't have the long-term a lot of times you're going to get an outlier. So in baseball, that doesn't happen. When we came into the baseball season, every show I did, every day on Wager Talk Today, the week going into the season, I said, here's how the season's going to end. Every first place team's going to win between 55 and 59% of their games. Maybe one team will win above 60%. That'll be the outlier. The worst team is still going to win about 30% of their games. And then the second, third, and fourth teams, or the second and third teams in the division, are going to be right there in between, winning between around 40%, 45% of their games. And why is that? Because baseball, they play enough games. The sample size is big enough that we have a much better chance of regressing and progressing towards the mean. So even though a team may come out winning 70% of their games after the first even 20, 30 games in baseball, they can't sustain that forever for 162. They're not going to sustain winning 7 out of 10 games. Even when Detroit Tigers had won 66% of their games, I think it was like 30 or 40 games in. And I said, they're not going to even win 60 when the season's over. That's just the math. They're going to play long enough. That's just not going to happen. That doesn't happen in the NFL. Like we say it all the time when a team's, 10-2, and we're like, oh, this is the worst 10-2 team on paper based on Pythagorean points scored, points allowed. They should have only won this many games based on their point differential. But because they're not playing 100 games in football, you have those outliers. But those are some metrics you want to pay attention to. Wait, what did you say, City? I don't like boxing. Slow down, bro. Slow down. Whoa. Slow down. I don't like boxing. Bro, I love boxing. I was into boxing before MMA. I paid, I think it was $40 to go watch Mike Tyson, Leon Spinks in pay-per-view at the Tower Theater in Upper Darby on 69th Street. The legendary Tower Theater, where the first American bandstand was. Yeah, I paid $40, I think, 30, 40 bucks. And I think I had like a $50 bet on it, okay? At that time, I was probably a 13, 14-year-old kid, not even. And I actually was on Spinks like an idiot, getting 6-1, all because I heard Ozzie Smith, remember shortstop for the St. Louis, that his strength and conditioning coach was working with Spinks. And I was like, oh, he's going to be able to run from Tyson, tire him out. No one's been able to do that. And I was getting like 5 or 6-1. And I ended up taking Spinks. And when the fight was over, people were so pissed because they paid money to go see it at the Tower. And some were even in line getting something to drink and eat, that they started throwing their like food at the screen, their sodas, and dude, all hell broke loose. Let's just put it that way. But what I'm getting at in a long about way is I love boxing. The reason I even started covering MMA was because I started covering boxing for the Game in Today. Katz, the Hall of Fame boxing writer, had retired, and he used to put his column used to be in the Game in Today. When he retired, I reached out to the Game in Today and asked, can I cover boxing for you? I don't even want to get paid. I just want to cover it. And they thought I was crazy, but I just wanted to get the press pass so I could go to the events. And bro, that's where you can't see it now, but that was during the years of Mayweather and Pacquiao when they were both in their runs. And I got to cover all of that. I went to all of those, bro. If you could see my wall right now, you'd see some of the best boxing fights between like 2008, 9, 10, and 2015, 16, 17. Juan Marquez, Cotto, Canelo, everybody's up there, bro. I went to a ton. So yeah, I'm a boxing fan. I don't like, here's why I don't like the draws, because they just never give you really good true odds. Even in Contender Series, like we're due for a draw, because the first 2 years of Contender Series, we had 4 draws. since 2020, we've had 0 draws. And, if you look at the UFC, they average about whatever percentage of no contest and draws, close to like 1.5%, I think, of all fights. Anyway, but they just never really give you true odds. But I could see a sprinkle there. I like Canelo, bro. I like Canelo. I would love to see Crawford be able to get it done, but I don't think most fans aren't even going to realize the difference in size of the careers. Like, they're going to look at both guys now being at the same weight class and figure they're both the same weight, so there really shouldn't be an advantage. But Canelo has been a big man for a long time. Like, the size difference, the power difference, I think is just going to be too much. And I don't think Crawford at this age is a slick enough boxer to overcome that. I think eventually Canelo is going to be able to cut off the ring and start to do enough damage, especially to the body, to slow down Crawford. And as he slows down Crawford, I think he starts to systematically break him down. I would be surprised if Canelo doesn't get him out of there, actually. I know Canelo hasn't looked his best of late, and I think that's why you're actually getting value on him. Otherwise, you'd be laying above -200 based on the weight disparity alone. But because Canelo hasn't looked that great, but I think you had an unmotivated Canelo. He hadn't had a challenge in a very long time. It was handpicked opponents here towards the end, going through the motions. He was more celebrity and sponsor than making sponsorships than making his money from fighting. But I think now this fight, you're going to get a motivated Canelo Alvarez. And I just think that's too much for Bud. And I'm a Crawford fan, dude. I love the slick boxer. I'll take the slick boxer 9 out of 10 times. Much different than MMA. But I just think it's too big of a difference in the weight and the size. Crawford's just being asked to do way too much. All right. That's, again, I haven't bet it yet, and I'm going to start digging into it actually after this weekend. I was planning to. That was just my initial take. My first read, and then seeing how the market's reacted so far. Yeah, they're both old now. It's like when Mayweather fought Pacquiao. We got it, 8 years too late. It always happens like that in boxing for whatever reason. That's how the promoters work in boxing. I never saw an Arturo Gotti fight live. I never saw a Gotti fight. But Marquez fights were really good. Marquez fights, Lopez fights. Those were some good fights. I even got to see De La Hoya fight. I even got De La Hoya's autograph on one of my tickets. Yeah, I saw Canelo Golovkin. Wow, I didn't remember I saw that. I saw Mayweather Cotto, Canelo Golovkin, Mayweather Ortiz, Pacquiao Bradley. Wow. I haven't saw things like Gonzalez Russell. No one remembers that. Yeah, dude, I was deep in boxing. No, not right now. No, not City. Not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of anyone in particular right now in boxing. I didn't even really get into all the Tyson Fury hype, to be honest with you. I made money with them. I'm just checking to see if anything came in. But Syracuse, Tennessee. Did it say it? Oh no, that fumble made it go over in the first quarter. Wow, I'm glad I avoided that bullet, huh? I dodged that one, huh? All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. We got over 52 for the game. 17 points first quarter. I'll take it. Okay. We got a lot of action today, boys. A lot of action. We have a live bet. Purdue minus. Got to get those glasses on. 29.5. Purdue minus 29.5. Purdue minus 29.5. Minus 120. Purdue minus 29.5. You're about to get another soccer subscriber. Soccer. Sorry, I'm firing the Purdue thing. All right. You ready for the soccer? We're going to bet this one together. Gangwon. Gangwon. Against the Pohang Steelers. It's South Korea. And we're taking Gangwon at a pick. Gangwon at a pick. Good to minus 110. Good to minus 115. Forgive me. So South Korea. We don't mess around, dude. This is the kind of stuff that's in the accounts. That's Gangwon, South Korea. Gangwon, baby. Let's go. 3% play. Hold on, we got another one for you. I got a tennis play for you. US Open. Round of 16. Okay? It's tomorrow. We're taking Lechka, Lechka, Yuri Lechka against Adrian Manarino. It's chalky. If you don't want to get involved, you don't have to. But we're laying minus 300. I'm laying minus 300. I'm going to put this at a free pick, too. On the free picks page for tomorrow already. That's how we roll. All right, you ready? College football. Game 309. Oh, 6-0. Gardner Webb. Plus 8.5. Plus 8.5. Gardner Webb, plus 8.5. I can only get 7.5, so I'm not releasing the subscribers. Yeah, I like Gardner Webb too. I like that side, but I can't release it to subscribers. Can't do it. We got too much action for us to take a bad number. It's like Oklahoma. I liked Oklahoma. I liked them at 38. My guys came out 37.5. And Wager Talk had 38.5. But I knew it's going to go to 40 in a second. And I don't want you guys being tempted with taking 40, thinking, if he covers the 38, they're going to cover the 40. Don't think like that. Don't think like that. Those people that thought last week that Bitcoin's going to 120 and they were buying at 115, they woke up today and saw 108. Now what do? Do they buy more? Do they sell and take the loss? That's what happens when you buy tops and you're not betting from a position of strength. So we don't take bad numbers. No, City, I never met him. Never met him. I don't know the guy. I don't really know. Like, I don't really get involved in this industry with that stuff. Oh, wait. Hold on. Sorry, we're just firing live right now, so I got to pay attention here too. What's going on? Yeah, I missed that Gardner Webb. Missed the Gardner Webb. Buckeyes, touch on Buckeyes. Go Ohio State. Go State. We need that over in Pitt Duquesne, man. Pitt Duquesne over, right? All right. Let me see if there's any questions. Let's see any questions. No, I didn't freeze, brother. Just got to see what else is coming in. It's a busy. This is like we're live trading. We're trading live. This is amazing. You got to You got to see during Sundays with the NFL. The NFL, we go game by game. We go game by game. That's the beauty. Like, we're going through each game and we get to talk in detail. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're signed up for, I think, a month or more, and most of you are for the season, don't waste your money on like a month and that. Sign up for the season, get NFL, college football, or if you want to learn how to be an advantage blackjack player, take the year and you get the videos and you get to keep them. So even if you're not ready now, who knows? That's the beauty of it. Some of you guys are young, dude, but 5 years from now, you come into some loot, gonna go crush those blackjack tables. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Nothing new. Northwestern first quarter loss. All right. Let's go through some of the regular games. That's left. I'll go through them for you guys. I'll cover that now, Brooke. I'll cover that now. I'll bring the second computer here. All right. Grab your look from the top of the board. So if you don't have odds logic, at minimum, go to Wager Talk, hit the free odds screen. Go to college football. I'm going to go through all the college football, and then I'll let you guys have it. My girl. Atta girl. Good girl. Okay. So we're going to start at the top. Nevada, Penn State. Going to tell you what I got. All right. Nevada, Penn State. All one-sided money from the public on Penn State and over. Public's heavy, Penn State and over. Old Dominion plus 24, 23.5. That caught steam back in July, the Old Dominion side. New Mexico, Michigan. One-sided Michigan money. One-sided over money from the public. Wise guys steamed the under. Wise guys went under 49.5. Temple, Massachusetts. One-sided Temple money. Wise guys and the public all on one side. They're all on Temple and Massachusetts. All right, Tennessee, Syracuse, keep scoring, baby. Keep scoring. Go down to Coastal Carolina and Virginia. Under. Public's betting under heavy. I like Virginia a little bit. I like Virginia myself. Haven't bet it, but I like Virginia a little. Marshall, Georgia. Marshall got steamed first half. Marshall, wise guy money first half, plus 24.5. Public heavy on Georgia, laying the 38.5, 39, whatever it is, they are laying it with Georgia. UTEP, Utah State, forgive me. Nothing really to report there. Colorado State, Washington, forgive me, over. That's what the public's betting. They like the over in that game. Hawaii, Arizona, sharps and public on the over. Sharps on Hawaii at 17, I believe. Publics on Arizona. Georgia Southern and Fresno State. Georgia Southern got steamed. Wise guys on Georgia Southern. Public also on Georgia Southern. UCLA, Utah, under. That's what the public's betting there. Mississippi, Georgia State, nothing to report. Eastern Michigan, Texas State, under. all under money from the public. Alabama, one-sided Alabama money, all Alabama from the public. One of the heavier bet games, one of the greatest risks. I know at plus 14, couple sharp bettors took the 14s on Florida State. Otherwise, that would be 14.5 with the amount of one-sided pressure on Alabama. Go down to USC, Missouri, all USC and over, USC and over, USC and over. That's parlayed. LSU and Clemson. Good two-way action there on the side. Under is what sticks out the most from the public. They're betting under 56.5. 2 out of 3 bets on the under. And finally, Oregon State and under in the late bailout. The late game is Oregon State and under. As you know, we like the Cal side. We like Cal. We got plus 2.5 on Cal. We'll see how that turns out. That's all of the college football. That is a little example of what the Steam Room will look like for college football when we have it on Saturdays. We'll have some Saturdays, especially when there's a good UFC card. I'll want to cover the MMA in depth. So those times we'll have a Steam Room on Saturday and a Steam Room on Sunday. I have no problems doing it twice. If you guys want to join me, because I'm be betting anyway, so I don't mind hanging out with you guys. I kind of like being in there hanging with my subscribers, because then we could go over stuff together and fire. I like Florida State, Paul. I like Florida State too, man. I like that. I like that first half bet. I like the first half bet. I like the 14, though, for the game. I do. Call me crazy. But I like Florida State. I'm going to look at one more thing and then check for questions. And then I'll get you guys out of here. I'm going to dig into some baseball, see any premium plays for subscribers. If I confirm anything, they will come out. Expect some late college football action to come in. Because, again, as the public starts chasing and betting more on the later games, some of these lines will get knocked out of whack, and we'll look to take advantage. All right, we're good. We are good to go. Yeah, if we get to 1,000, I'm going to give it a couple minutes. We'll do another. Roll Tide, my man says. Oh, no, City. No. Baseball is where it matters most, actually. In fact, if you ask most of the betting syndicate guys, if they were only forced that they could bet one sport, what would it be? They would all say baseball, because that gives the most opportunities for them to make money. It's the easier one for them to manipulate because, again, the NFL, so much money is being bet. They're not going to be able to push the lines much at all. Like, you know how hard it is to move an NFL spread 1.5, 2 points on a side, 2 points on a total. But you see in baseball, they'll flip a favorite. They'll make a minus 150 go off at minus 210. That kind of power, and more importantly, shows that kind of inefficiency in the market. That's where they're blasting away. The difficulty is in determining what they're actually on, because of the fact, like you said, there's not that much public money a lot of times they're manipulating the board and then betting the real sides off screen through accounts like what I provide. Because so many times I'll see on screen, it'll look like team A is being steamed, but then I'm looking at the actual accounts and they're betting team B just at a better number. So there's a lot going on in baseball. That's the difference. Where in football, it's kind of right in your eyes. Like anyone could kind of look at it and tell you that Texas got wise guy money. You know what I mean? Like Texas +3 and 2.5 and 2 got steamed. They're not hiding them. But in baseball, a lot of the stuff is more hidden. Again, that's why in NFL, most of the NFL wise guy money comes on first halves, team totals, first half totals, player props. You'll get some sides, some totals, but not as heavy because again, they're very tight lines. They're very efficient. That's why in the NFL, anybody could. I could give my girl $100. If I had $100,000 sitting here in cash, she could go in there into the casino right now and bet it on next week's NFL game. They're going to book it. But if she goes to try to bet even 20 on a baseball tonight, good luck. Nobody's going to book it. They may take 5 because they're not sure they'll be able to write on the other side, bets on the other side. But with football, they know they're going to get at, even if wise guys are betting a side, they know they could entice money on the other side. All they have to do is move the lines. But what you'll never see is the huge moves. That's why, like preseasons, when all the wise guys bet. And why? Because you see the inefficiencies. In preseason, lines move 4, 5, 6 points. And for that to happen in the regular season, there's got to be a star quarterback that goes down and gets injured. There's got to be huge weather for a total to move 3 points. Got to be snow, blizzard conditions. But in preseason, that's not the case. So always look. The best way you can tell where books are most vulnerable or where a casino is most vulnerable, what aren't they willing to book? What are they willing to book? Like what bets are they willing to take? What bets aren't they willing to take? They're willing to take, 100,000 on an NFL side, but they're not taking 100,000 on a WNBA total. You know what I mean? That there's a big difference. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Georgia Southern, Fresno State. I like Georgia Southern. I thought Georgia Southern should have been a bigger favorite on a neutral field, even then factoring home field advantage. I thought Georgia Southern should be a bigger favorite. I thought the reason the line was brought out short, and I think Fresno State even opened the favorite, was because Fresno State played last week. And even though they got destroyed by Kansas, they still have a game under their belt. And the narrative is they have an advantage because of that. The problem for Fresno State is Georgia Southern's the better football team. So yeah, that's one of those where I thought Fresno's getting premium attached to them that they haven't earned. All right. That looks like it's going to do it. All right. Oh, Purdue's offering a live bet, better number now in the second half. So anyone that likes that missed that live bet on Purdue minus 29.5, they're 7.5 in the second half. So they're up 21-0 now. It's like getting a minus 28.5 for the game, a point better. Okay. All right, we got 31 points in Syracuse. Let's see how it goes. All right. Are we betting Portland State today? I bet Portland State already, brother. I got them, Justin. I got Portland State plus 37. What's the line right now? Oh, I got a terrible bet on Portland State. Oh, we bet that in the summer. See, that's one that went way against us. My man Richie, that was my man Richie. Fats gave me that one. Yeah, we bet that one in the summer, bro. That's one where you see betting early has its advantages, but also has its disadvantages as well. When the market goes against you, you look like a damn fool. And today I could have got a much better number on Portland State. So that's one of those where, I got to now hope to be the product of good luck. I placed a terrible bet. I don't deserve to win that bet. I placed a bad bet. At minus 37, BYU was the side. Right? Ain't that who they're playing or whoever they're playing? So, yeah, see, we got probably closing line value on 90% of our bets today on our premiums. But that's one of those 10% that I'm trying to get lucky on because that was a bad bet. No, I leave it alone, Justin. I leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. Obviously, the market disagrees with me. I trust in closing line value. I put my belief that in the long term, the efficient market hypothesis does hold true in pretty much every market. Because the sports betting market is efficient. Now, we're able to take advantage of some biases in the short term. And because of the hold, the books already have a built-in edge. But in the long term, I think that the market is very efficient. So because of that, yes, City. Yes, I do. I love teasers in NFL only. You don't tease college football ever. I don't say ever because last year I did even see the betting syndicates tease, but that was during the college football playoffs or final game, I believe. That was once in like 5 years, but for the most part, keep it a rule. You don't tease college, and in the NFL, you only tease sides. You stick to 6-point teasers unless the payout odds are off, which few are, but there are some books out there where their 6-team teaser odds pay more than they should. They've since been corrected over the last few seasons. Otherwise, stick to 2-team 6-point teasers. Try not to lay more than 125 if you want to make money long term, and try to go through the key numbers of 3 and 7. I have my own teaser system. I share it each and every Sunday with my subscribers in the SteamRoom. I wait until close to the closing lines, close to the kickoff, about 10, 15 minutes before kickoff. And I explain why to my subscribers. They understand, they know why we bet them late. I think it makes a ton of sense. Last year, we made a good amount of money betting those, and we will do so again on Sundays. But it's only 6-point teasers. We're only looking to tease particular numbers, and we never tease totals. You should never tease college because of the variance in scoring. The variance in scoring and the mean between the final score and the average closing line. So it long term, it's a negative EV bet. It's kind of like a roulette wheel where it's a great bet when you land on a number and get paid 35 to 1, but you know that there's 38 or 40 numbers on there. So unless you're getting 38 to 1 when there's 38 numbers, or 0040 to 1, then you're not getting a fair bet, or you're not getting better odds. Like if there's 38 numbers and you're getting 40 to 1, then you're placing great bets every time you put down on a number. Even when you're losing, you're placing great bets, because great bets lose all the time. But when you hit a number and you get paid 35 to 1, yes, you won, but you placed the terrible bet. And we know that because there's 38 numbers on the wheel. So you're not getting true odds. And with the teasers in college football, there's too much variance in scoring that getting 6 points, 6.5 or 7, and paying that extra vig doesn't make it advantageous, because your winning percentage won't be high enough to make it profitable long term. So that's the difference with college football teasers. No problem, brother. I learned the hard way. Everything, I'll let you know if it's opinion or if it's fact. And when it's opinion, it's because I learned via mistakes. My knowledge comes from losing money. I'm not ashamed to admit it. The education in sports betting, Harvard, Ivy League, from Bankroll's lost, which is why I can tell bettors what not to do. I know for certainty this is a losing strategy. Why? Because I lost money doing it. Like that I'm not explaining or speaking from a position of authority. I'm speaking from a position of experience. And having lost enough money and being surrounded by guys that actually make their money betting sports to learn enough to know what to do and what not to do. And most of you guys on this call, on this right now, already know most of what to do and what not to do. You're not here by accident. You know you're sharp enough. The difficulty is following through, having the discipline to follow through. It's like back to the analogy of the looking like $1 million. I know what to do. I know what I should be eating. I know how I should be working out. Like, we know those things. It's, can we do them? Do we have the discipline to do them? That's the difference. And with sports betting, we all run into the same demons, brothers. And that's where the SteamRoom comes in. We're here to help each and every week. So with that said, head on over to wagertalk.com. Greek Gambler, all you guys that are partnering up with me for the college football and NFL season, I promise you, I've never felt more prepared or have been in a position where I am ready to work harder to turn a profit for you. I'm very excited. I appreciate the trust you put in me, and my job is to follow through and come through. And I will be accountable to you every week with the SteamRoom. Win or lose, I will come here and we will go over those results and plan for how we're going to do some damage ahead. So best of luck in the college football season. The NFL season kicks off next week. Baseball playoffs are coming. Let's do some damage. And the UFC returns next Saturday. Contender Series will be this Tuesday. And in between, we got tennis, soccer, WNBA, all those markets to destroy. Wagertalk.com. Smash that like button. Share that. And don't forget, Wager Talk today on YouTube. I'm on every single morning at 12 p.m. Eastern. Guys, have a good one. Thanks again. God bless you and your families. Have a great weekend. Don't forget.